Steve, thanks for being here. We really appreciate your time. It's good to be with you. I look forward to hearing more about your journey with Kevin and pursuing sort of the next generation of McHale ownership. And I know ultimately it ended in a recapitalization with Hidden Harbor, and I want to hear more about that. So I have some questions if you don't mind me asking.
Sure.
Good. Tell the story of McHale Landscaping and go back to the beginning if you don't mind, because it's such a great story.
Yeah. Well, I guess it really starts back when I was about 10 and Kevin was about 12. And we lived out in the country, and it was back when the mini bike craze started. And our parents were not so keen on buying us a mini bike, but we negotiated with them and they decided they would buy us a riding lawnmower. So with that, we started to cut grass around the neighborhood, and we also, since we didn't have a mini bike, we negotiated with our friends that we would cut the trails for the mini bikes out in the fields, and we would do that in trade for time on their mini bikes. So we started our bartering way at an early stage, and then we began to start cutting more grass around there. And we both, that was back when your parents just said go outside and play. So there was a lot of stuff that we could get into, but with this riding lawnmower, we were able to actually get paid for cutting people's grass. And one situation that we were in that was a good learning experience was we made a deal with this model home realtor, and there was about 7 houses on that street that were built but weren't sold yet. And he said, I'll pay you guys to cut the grass there. And so we did for a couple of weeks, and we came home and one evening, and our dad said, so how's it going down there with that grass cutting job you got? And we're like, oh, it's good. We've cut it, twice so far, and we've done 7 houses. And my dad said, well, how much have you gotten paid yet? And we were like, well, we didn't get paid yet. And he said, what? And so we sat there a minute and saw the Irish and our father start to build. And he said, all right, tomorrow you go down there and you don't come back here without a check. You need to learn to get paid for the services you provide. So don't come back without a check. So we went down there, sat there for about 11 o'clock when this guy arrived. And, Kevin and I, I'm 10, he's 12. We're sitting on this guy's couch, and he's like, what do you need, guys? And we're like, we need to get paid. And, he said, oh, I'll get to you. So a couple hours went by, and he was like, you guys, I'll get to you. And we're like, no, you don't understand. We need to get paid today, or we can't go home. And he was like, what are you talking about? And we're like, you don't understand. We need to get paid today. And he said, well, let me see, blah, 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 blah. So about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he realized that we weren't leaving until we got paid. He finally wrote us a check. So that was one of our early learning experiences, and getting paid for the services that you provide. So from there, we both enjoyed the outdoors. We like plants and stuff that our parents. My mother liked plants. She liked nature. We have some art somewhere in our blood, and I've been gifted that ability to be able to draw and paint. And so that helped with, once we got into college, I was studying landscape architecture and Kevin was doing horticulture, but he got out a couple of years ahead of me, and he started working in the field, and then and was able to sell some jobs. And on occasion he would call me, and maybe I would come home and we would measure a job when we got an opportunity. We would take Kodak pictures or Polaroids, and he would mail them to me up in Morgantown, West Virginia. And he would send me the measurements and everything, and then I would do a design and draw a picture of the plan and send it back home. Then he would sell the job. And then on the weekends, I would come home and we'd get guys from our neighborhood and we'd do the job. And that's kind of how we started with getting things rolling. And, somewhere when we were in college is when we decided that this is what we wanted to take a chance on and try to make a living. And it was kind of doing what we really liked and what we enjoyed doing.
So it's an amazing story to go from, two guys in Morgantown, West Virginia, sort of working on the side, to a company of how many employees does McHale have?
Now I think we're over 400. So
that's amazing.
It's 45 years now as well. So
that's an amazing story. So what is the most important lesson you learned from a business or personal standpoint on that 45-year journey?
One of the things early on, we were very conservative with our decision making because we didn't have a lot of money to be able to spend. And my first comment would be, we would have taken the chance and bought a truck with a dump on it rather than just a truck that we would have to shovel the stuff off. But we didn't want to take the risk. And so we found over time that in business, all business owners take risks. So that is something that I would say that we would have spent more time on, figuring out what we should spend money on and take that risk earlier, because we're going to have to anyways. And that's also part of why during your time as a business owner, you get to the point where you want to de-risk. And that's when you call CCA so that they can help you figure it out. But one of the bigger things that kind of evolved to is really protecting the company and making sure that we're making the right decisions.
So true, so true. What advice would you give other business owners as they're building businesses from, sort of the startup to 200-300 employees? And then particularly, what would you tell them about, sort of the experience with private equity?
In the early days, like when we were in college, for example, when we were first started, we were like, why didn't we take more business classes to start with? Because all we took was, landscape architecture and horticulture and art and things like that. But we didn't know anything about the business end of things. So then as we matured a little bit, we figured out that while our heads were down and really working and doing whatever we needed to do to make the client happy, we did it. But then the next thing is figuring out when to work on the business rather than in the business. And we're fortunate because Kevin had more of the business acumen and I had more of the design, construction, and sales acumen. So we really realized our roles early on so that we were able to kind of double team this and really figure out our roles and do what we're best at. And so after that, Kevin worked more on the business. I remained in the business. But one of the bigger things is figuring out, what are you going to do next and when are you going to do that? And that's when, we had a few friends say, you guys are not spring chickens anymore. So, but, we still want to be involved in things. So thinking about succession or an exit strategy before it's too late. And that's why, again, know when to call CCA, I guess, is really, an important thing to plan for before, you have health issues or other issues that might come up that kind of make all that work that you did not, you don't get the value from it.
So probably an unfair question, but what was the journey like having your wife as a partner and the CFO of the company?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, between Kevin and Julie and me, Kevin and Julie work together more because they're working in the business part of things and the financial end. And I'm more on the, in the sales and design and construction. But it's interesting because we come home and I'm the one that would prefer turning it off, because now that we have kids in the business, my wife is in the business, it was, trying to find that time to be able to separate things was important. But, there's nothing better than having a family being in the business so that you got people that you can trust 100% and we're all in it together.
So, Steve, talk to us about the process of deciding upon a financial partner and sort of that journey about making the decision, then getting to closing. Just any reflections you have on that.
That really was quite a process, because it's one of the things that I will say is that we started early enough that, we weren't in a rush. We really had open mind as far as which way to go and what to do. But I think one of the key things that provided comfort for us was the team that was assembled between CCA, the lawyers, the other consultants that were involved. Well, everybody sort of knew each other from one direction or another, and our comfort level was just totally trusting, because we had true confidence in what everybody's specialty was, and we were able to really take it all in and be able to make the best decision because of our comfort level and the team that was built.
Is there anything that you would have done differently? Now, with the benefit of hindsight, and I'm referring both to the time of owning and building the business, as well as this last year where you ultimately picked a financial partner and went forward with them.
I don't know that we would have done anything different as far as the plan that we put together as far as getting private equity involved. We probably would have done some different things in our business life to get into the point where we are. But, after 45 years, we're still brothers, we're still family, and, we still have disagreements, just like all brothers do, but we get through it, and then we move on to the next thing. But, as from the approach with CCA and the whole private equity idea, there was a real structure to the process, and that was really important to be guided along that whole way by CCA. So, I think all those decisions were made the right way.
Great, that's super. So implicit in sort of recapitalizing is that you have confidence in the future, because both you and Kevin rolled over, as they say, a significant amount of equity. That means you have to wait to see what the ultimate outcome is. But implicit in that is you do have some confidence in the future, confidence in the company, confidence in your teammates. Just talk more about that, how you see the future of McHale and the confidence that you have about its future success.
Once we started thinking about succession for us, it really, the focus went to the next generation, because the importance, that's why we're doing this. We're doing this because of our 6 kids that are involved in this business have more opportunity, and the next generation of people that we work with have the opportunity to continue to grow. We see the opportunities right now with the possibilities of expansion in different directions, and the acquisitions and just the organic growth that is possible to happen now that we have an investor.
How has life been since the closing of the transaction with Hidden Harbor?
Yeah, I would say so far there has been no surprises. And, the guidance that you guys gave us, and that helped kind of squash some of the possible surprises that could have done, because you gave us a set of expectations, and we remembered those, and we were geared up for being able to handle different decisions, because, after 45 years of being your own boss, we're starting to feel that there is more input from other people, and, it really has become more of a partnership and more involvement from others, and, it's a new chapter, but it's working well.
Steve, I can't thank you enough and Kevin, for allowing CCA team to be a part of your journey. We literally enjoyed every minute of it, and wish we could have 100 more clients like you guys. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you as well, because it's been great to renew a friendship and know that we made the right decisions.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.